Hey guys, Jay's back. And today I want to talk about a fish that I've always wanted to keep, but we're not allowed to keep here in the U.S. It's actually one of my favorite fish I want to keep. There's actually 3 prehistoric fish that I would love to keep in the aquarium hobby. 2 of which I am not legally allowed to have. The one that's legal to have would be the gar. I love how ancient they are. The 2 that are illegal is the snakehead, for good reasons, and the Asian Arowana. Now you could keep practically any other kind of arowana, ranging from the silvers, blacks, Jardinis, which at one point in time I did have a Jardini arowana. It was the plain Jane, like brownish green color. Unfortunately, it did not live long due to a heater failure. But still don't understand to this day why we're not allowed to keep Asian Arowana. And as I go through my notebook here, it still won't make sense. I mean, it does and it doesn't. So I'll touch on the Asian Arowana real quick. On just basic information most of us already know. As everybody knows, the Asian Arowana, which if you don't know what Asian Arowana are, I suggest looking up Joey Mullins or the King of DIY's video. He has a 2,000 gallon with 3 Asian Arowana in it and like 5 stingrays. Beautiful tank. But in the Asian culture, the Asian Arowana is known to bring good luck and prosperity to whoever owns it. Also, as Joey mentioned when he lost Buddy, an Asian Arowana, they believe that Asian Arowana are so dedicated to their owners that they will take their lives to improve their owner's life. So Joey had a really bad thing going on in his life. Buddy, the Blue Crossback Arowana, passed away. Everything got better for him. So, I mean, there's that. They are native to Southeast Asia, where they inhabit like the Blackwater rivers, slow-moving waters that flow through forested swamps and wetlands. So during the wet, rainy season, when the forests flood, perfect hunting grounds for them because they got a whole bunch of cover. They could actually jump up to branches, catch their prey, whatnot, like insects, stuff like that. So I'm going to go over the information I found, and then we'll talk a little bit more about why they're endangered, stuff like that. Now, when I mention CITES, or CITES, it's the Conference on International Trades of Endangered Species. So basically, something becomes endangered, they have a conference about it. You know, they determine what they can do to help preserve the populations. Now, unfortunately, the U.S. does not have a governing agency to oversee fish being brought in. They do not want or have the resources to set up nor maintain a separate agency for that purpose. Which, let's face it, they can. They just don't want to. Many farms breed the Asian Arowana, but because of greed, they do not release part of the offspring back into the wild. If they would do this, it would be like any other fish in the trade in terms of importing and exporting. Much like the white sturgeon, we can have them in our household aquariums because half the offspring are released back into the wild by a certain age. So because we are releasing half of those offsprings into the wild to help build up populations, we're allowed to keep that fish. the same way would be it would be the same way with Asian Arowana, but unfortunately, greed conquers all. The U.S. follows the CITES conference to a T, because they believe having this species would impact wild populations. They believe there is no way to track it. However, most farms do implant microchips in the farm-raised fish that give you a certificate with the chip number on it. But with the farms that are CITES approved or cities approved, the fish coming from these farms are automatically microchipped, and the owner is given a certificate describing the fish and the chip code. Thus, authorities could track its origins. So if we're chipping these fish already for sale into the hobby, why would the U.S. not allow this? With all that, the U.S. could relax their regulations to allow the importation of farm-raised arowana, or farm-raised Asian arowana. So with this being said, no government agency is willing to dedicate funds towards replenishing wild populations until the wild populations are determined to be on the rebound. There will be no change until that happens. But then again, we're not putting in the resources to check on the wild populations, so we don't know if they're actually on the rise or not. So they might not even be endangered anymore, but yet we're still not allowed to have them. The sad part about this is if you get caught with an Asian arowana, you get a substantial fine for having that fish. And after it is taken from you, it will be transported to a public aquarium, or more frequent than transporting is it will be automatically euthanized. So let me get this right. We're not allowed to have this fish because it is considered an endangered species, even though we don't actually know if it still is or not. But yet, any of the fish that are caught in the aquarium trade is euthanized? I don't understand how that makes sense. If it is endangered and we are not allowed to provide a proper home for it, just because it is deemed illegal to have, they kill it. When it would probably have been better off with the owner. See, a lot of this doesn't make sense to me. If something's endangered, it means you are not allowed to own or kill it. But if you're caught owning it, they kill it. So why not just make it legal? Especially since they are being farm raised. If they are being farm raised, they are no longer taken from the wild. The original stock might have been, but through extensive breeding, we have an abundance. And I don't understand why these farms won't be releasing, at least half of what they breed back into the wild. If they would do that, I think a lot of it is just because, like I said before, greed. Because as long as they're still on that blacklist, and they're hard to get, they can still keep the prices sky high. I have seen prices anywhere from like $1,500 to $150,000 for a single specimen. And I think that's why they're not releasing them back into the wild, because they know that there are countries that still allow it, like Canada. As long as they're chipped and you have that certificate, you're allowed to have them. But the U.S., no. But yet then there are people that are paying the ridiculous prices for this rare fish when it's not even that rare. I mean, there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of these arowana in these farms. I mean, there's even cities, funded farms, approved farms. So, why can't we have these in our trade? It doesn't make sense. Now, I have heard, I'm not sure how true it is. You all can do your own research because I couldn't find it after I heard or after I read about it. Apparently, it's a grudge thing right now, because apparently the U.S. had put a whole bunch of money towards the repopulation of this species, but then they built all these farms to raise them, and it was cities approved, which means half of them had to be released back into the wild. Well, apparently these farms turned around and said, no, we're not doing this, and I guess the U.S. got pissed off, and they said, fine, you're not allowed to sell them in the United States. But we're allowed to have all the other arowanas, just not the Asian. Like I said, the closest one is the Jardini. And I found a website where you could get that in Asian Arowana colors. I'm not sure if they crossbred them or not, but apparently they're legal to, have in the United States. They have a website where you could buy them. They're located in I believe, Ohio. Which I sent them an email. I'm waiting to hear back to make sure that their species are legal for the U.S. Because if so, I will own me some Jardinis again. My wife is into the Asian cultures type stuff, and she would love to have one of those fish. Unfortunately, it's not the true Asian Arowana, but for some reason we're not allowed to have them right now. So, anyway, I hope this video was somewhat informative on why we can't have them. Even with the information, I still don't understand, because we don't actually fully know if they're still endangered. Considering I'm sure that the people over there eat them for food all the time, even though they're protected. So, but that's what I got for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe and everything. I'm trying to hit at least a thousand subscriber milestone. Not only because of the money would be nice, but I want to actually buy actual equipment to bring better videos. Maybe get some other tanks up and running, because I am on a fixed income. So, hopefully it was informative, and have a good one, guys. Later.